School of Computing. I am Gio Wulandari, your moderator for today. Thank you for your time coming to the event today. So today we have a main topic for today's lecture. It is me, myself, and AI, the future from a different perspective, that will be presented by our guest lecturer, Robert Young Smith. He is Director of Higher Education and E-Research, Microsoft Asia Pacific. Okay, without any further ado, let us welcome Mr. Robert.
Thank you, Gia. Thank you so much. Well, hello. Thank you for joining in person and online as well. It's a pleasure for me to be here. I'm actually quite excited about this session, and I'm assuring you I don't want this to be one way. We've got some time for some questions later, and I'm probably going to ask for a bit of feedback in the room as well. So from my side, my name is Rob. As you can tell, it's often a topic of conversation. I'm originally from Australia, where I worked in engineering firms and then working for some systems integrators and IT partners for a number of years. And most recently, the last kind of 9-10 years, I've spent working in Microsoft based in Singapore as part of our Asia Pacific education team. My role more specifically is leading our approach to higher education, so how technology is used within universities, but also bridging that gap between the academic and the research world and the workforce and the enterprise world as well. So I'm quite excited to be here for this session myself. Maybe get a quick show of hands from those in the room. I said I'd try and keep you awake. Who here is from the School of Information Technology, purely technology majors? Okay. IT, School of IT, technical major. Who's not from the School of IT? There we go. There are a whole lot of people who didn't put up their hand at all. So Debbie, I'm interested here because today's discussion, we'll talk about technology and how it's being used and applied, but it's really not just an IT major conversation. And we've been having that same conversation around AI for a number of years. We've been doing the same with data or data for a number of years as well. More and more seeing that most companies are becoming technology companies, and now more and more most companies are becoming AI companies as well as they transform and thrive. So with that in mind, I said I'm going to cover a few areas in our session, but I'll start with the Microsoft mission. And our mission is to empower every person and every organization on the planet to achieve more. And you'll see some of the themes that come through today around democratization of access, around responsible use and adoption. And these things very much come through. And we'll touch on not increasing the digital debt or the digital divide by the use or further adoption of technology. So we will talk about technology itself, but we will also touch on the ethics and the responsible use of as well, and how we at Microsoft think about that. And as I said, this will be a bit of a different conversation to normal. We will talk about some products and how they're used to give you the context of how we're seeing them used in the workplace and AI being adopted. But I'll talk a little bit about our approach to innovation. We'll kind of take a look back at the way we've seen AI use all the buzz right now. ChatGPT has lit that up for everybody. It's become a familiar term. But we've had AI winters in the past. What's different now? Why is this technology now more readily available to us? So we'll talk about a bit of the history and looking at how quickly change can happen as well. As I said, I've been having some of these conversations for many years, but it's very different this time, and we're moving forward in leaps and bounds. But then after talking about the technology and what we're seeing coming around innovation, I will jump into what we're seeing in the workforce. We'll talk about what we call the Work Trend Index, feedback from employers, employees, leaders, and what the workforce of right now and potentially tomorrow will look like. And then as I said, we'll get in and show you some of the tools, how they're being used by different types of employees as well. And again, that's why I was interested. There's some of the technical developer side of things. There's some of the more generic office style employee as well. So we'll touch on a few things. But to start us off here, just playing an excerpt from what we always called our future. is turned into a digital image. Now, this is all stuff that's available today that back in 2010 would have been quite futuristic thinking. So as I said, we're seeing a lot of this happening now. And I play this because it's a way to get us thinking is what could the workforce, technology, education look like in the next 10 years? What's that 2035 actually going to look like, or what does it need to look like? And I think I play that to provoke some thoughts as we talk through today. But also put in context, change is very, very gradual until it's here. And I see often we see, not so much with AI now, thankfully, but for the last 5 years, machine learning and technology, cloud, the putting off of use and adoption. So it's not really real yet, and all of a sudden it is. And maybe let me give you a bit of context for that. I mean, we all know the wheel. The wheel was invented around 3500 BC. It was around 1700 BC, we kind of stopped using horse and carriage and started traveling around in carriages, initially for military purposes. The chariot was the primary form of human transport for thousands of years. And then we leap forward in the 1500s, some 3,000 years later, we went from carriage to automobile. So I'm just trying to adjust my screen here. Zoom gallery over top. So yeah, then it was only 300 years in around 1886 that Carl Benz invented the automobile. Very quickly, 1903, Henry Ford had the production line. Technology, sciences, innovations were happening faster and faster and faster. And this was kind of the normal view. 13 years later, 1916, this is a normal city view. But then 66 years later, we built rockets and put rockets on the moon. In 66 years, we accelerated human capability faster than we had in the preceding thousands of years. But then to add to the craziness of that, a couple of years later, we started putting cars on the moon, well before Elon Musk was putting cars into space. As you'll see here, this pace of innovation that nobody saw coming, caught up, and now it's mainstream. And it's the coming together, the pace of that innovation changes when we bring together technology and human ingenuity. We took the capabilities of the technology and the ability for us to apply it, I think, is what accelerates this. Humans building the tools and technology to enable us to go further. So I'm going to unmute here and play a quick video. To highlight the change in the era of AI will impact every domain globally, I think, in the very near future as well. But I'll go back again and look at our relationship with AI. I think got off to a bit of a rocky start, but for many reasons. We can have a bit of fun with this one. I mean, the 1960s, we made AI the image of kind of malevolence and control, the bad guy. We tell ourselves, we made these stories up. We told ourselves this is what AI could do. through the 80s and 90s and beyond, we characterized AI as this force that's malevolent and powerful that could potentially seek to destroy us, could remove us. We told ourselves stories that we believed AI would gain autonomy. We gave it agency, we gave it rights to be considered like us. We told ourselves this was inevitable and we gave it a seat at the table. And then AI became a joke again. 2015, 2017 in Silicon Valley, AI was telling us, is it a hot dog or not a hot dog? Okay, we talk about, are we quite ready for the change yet? Now, come the early 2020s, AI has become one of the most powerful tools we've created. We had to start somewhere. It can help us, it can guide us, it can challenge us, it can empower us, it can support us. And we can turn it off. Okay. Now, at the same time, whilst there's a little bit of jest here, I don't take away from the requirements and the needs for responsible governance and usage of AI. And I think active conversations going on in that space are very, very critical. But AI can be quite mundane. I'm not denying that we have those considerations around risks and rights that we have to look at. We do need to seriously think about how we bring AI into our lives. We need to think about the outcomes and the human impacts and potentially risks to our safety as well. But we also do need to keep in mind AI is not coming for us. It's not a force that has cognition beyond our understanding or reasoning. It's a science of maths at a really, really large scale. It's the amplification of thinking, correlating information scale beyond our capability or capacity. But it's often quite boring. It's helping us build PowerPoint slides. It might be translating for us. Ideally, it's doing some of the dirty work and summarizing meetings for us. The point is, AI is not our enemy. It's an incredible tool, but we do need to think very seriously about how we use it to grow and be better. Not necessarily to waste our energy on how bad it could be. And in the past, AI was about replacing humans. Now it's become about helping humans, and in the future, it will really be around collaborating with humans as well. And I'll talk about the way we're seeing some technology advancements that are going to help us there. So you have to think about AI as a tool, a very, very advanced tool that we're going to learn to collaborate with for our own needs and our own goals. And the questions we should be asking ourselves here are how are we going to collaborate better, and how are we going to make the most of this incredible innovation that we have in front of us? So with that, we are at a little bit of an intersection. I think we've all seen the hype and the possibilities of AI. At the same time, we've been talking for a number of years around how do we prepare graduates like yourselves for the workforce of the future. The nature of work is changing as well. So we've got a bit of an intersection, and I want to touch on a few points. As I said, I'll start today with the way technology has changed. And let me talk around our approach to developing technology. We really approach innovation with these three elements in mind. The first, we believe innovation should be meaningful. We're not driven for innovating for innovation's sake, and we want to create things technology that will have a lasting impact at scale. Beyond that, we focus our innovation on enabling everyone to innovate, because we believe technology breakthroughs should be meaningful and available to everybody. And it's not only going to come from technology providers, it's going to come from individuals and organizations across all types of verticals. The second one here being, how do we apply those innovations? It's as important as the actual innovation itself. It's great to innovate, but if we don't apply the innovation and make it real, it won't have any impact. Our goal is to help companies and organizations around the world moving from siloed innovation projects that are always in incubation mode to a broader transformation model that can bring the innovation to life. And the third one here is around responsibility. I think a very large conversation. We believe technology should be developed and used responsibly. Society is speaking loud and clear, demanding innovations that not only improve quality of life, but can be trusted. The responsibility companies, like ourselves, owe to shareholders must be expanded to customers, employees, and the rest of humanity as well. That's why we're not only asking ourselves what technology can do, but what technology should do. The idea here is for us to, for me to share some best practices, which we hope you can adopt and use on your own innovation journey as well. If we look at these three pillars, the first are the innovator's dilemma. As a business, you must think about your customers that you still don't see today, but you also need to consider what they expect to see from you and what they don't. How can you and how can we meet exceed their expectations? And the third pillar is the responsible pillar is not only thinking about how we're using our technology responsibly, but there's also a layer of accountability. How can we make sure our technology is being used by others in a responsible way? And that's a complex challenge. So with that in mind, I want to share how we're applying that approach against kind of the four biggest paradigm shifts that we see today. First one, as I said, is obvious. It's artificial intelligence. Let's think about what happened 20 or 30 years ago. Software was transforming every industry, as I said. It was becoming a big differentiator and determined whether companies would thrive or whether they would fail or be disrupted. This is where we saw the Netflixes, the Ubers and others of the world becoming leaders in their respective industries. Just as software redefined the world, AI is now redefining software. AI is a new type of software that can learn by perceiving the world around it. It can do reasoning on top of it. It doesn't need to be explicitly programmed anymore. In the past, as I said, every company became a software company. In the future, I think every company will become an AI company. And just how we're building here, I won't drain all the statistics on these slides, but as we look at innovation, Microsoft Research has been around for around 29 years. This AI journey is not new. We have 8 labs across the globe, over 1,000 researchers looking at the next generation of AI. We have 20 research areas around AI and computing, and we have over 4,000 patents around the world, with 3,500 patents still pending. And the reason I bring this up and the importance here is this is not the beginning of a journey. We are at a point in time on a journey we've been on for a long time. Likewise, all that growth, all that effort is driving the growth and innovation and explosion of AI breakthroughs. Again, I don't want to drain this, but object recognition was a human parity some 7 years ago. We're moving to speech recognition, reading comprehension was human parity 2018, all the way up to being able to summarize documents at a human parity level. These are services that are available today as a service for you to access. They're democratizing the access to these for you and others to go and build upon them and build applications or applicable scenarios. And then we kind of hit the start of, hit the 2020s. And I think everybody has recognized the absolute explosion of AI announcements, not just from us. And there's a great quote from our CEO. We didn't wake up in January of 2023 and think, let's do a lot of press releases. We just hit that inflection point towards the start of this year, accelerated by the collaboration with OpenAI, where we've been able to execute on the vision that we've had for so many years. And as you'll see, at least every month, there's been an announcement. I think there's been some, don't quote me on the number, but around 80 product updates or generally available products since the start of this year. Quite an acceleration. But I don't want to talk about just AI. I think AI and generative AI and ChatGPT have all become synonymous with one another. I want to talk about other areas of advancement as well. And one of those is machine learning. We're making advances in machine learning, bringing how do we teach and train our AI systems and make them capable of cognition. And we can use traditional teaching techniques and apply them into a machine learning world. And teaching using these techniques greatly benefits from being able to set up scenarios in virtual environments where agents can learn. We can simulate. We see the sort of the groundbreaking work happening in the gaming world coming into other industries and using these simulated environments. Here you'll see a video from AirSim, one of our simulators targeting aerial drone use cases. By modeling sensor data from a myriad of conditions, we can build these dynamic environments that replicate real life, and we can safely train systems like this in here. And this is high voltage power line inspection, a situation that's very, very hard to train for in the real world. There was a statistic about autonomous vehicles. It takes around 1 billion hours of learning for an autonomous vehicle to be safe and certified to be on the road. if we can do a lot of those hours in simulators here and use machine learning techniques, we can greatly reduce the time needed for humans and increase the pace of innovation. So this technology does really afford us those mechanisms to train scenarios we haven't been able to in the past. It also helps us reduce bias, allows us to expand safety boundaries, and we can really look at debugging and scaling that we can't do as a normal human as well. And as I mentioned earlier, we're looking to really democratize that access. We want to build these services, like we're building large language models and making them available. We're building some of these services and making them available for people to use and apply, both on our platform and with collaboration with other open source and third parties as well. We'll change gears a little bit, and what's enabling some of these AI advancements and what I think will continue to increase the velocity of those advancements is around the future of computing. And the future of AI does depend on the future of computing. We're seeing everything around us becoming more connected and generating more amounts of data. We've had to rethink our current approaches to computing, storage, and networking to handle this growth in a sustainable way. We're seeing computing become more ubiquitous. More and more data will be created from everyday objects like appliances, watches. I'm sure everybody's got some sort of fitness tracker here as well, and things that we haven't even imagined. The future will require more computing where the data is created, more networking power to transmit that data, and more storage for the data or data as well. And that's where we're looking for sustainable approaches to this. You may have heard, the explosion of data will require so much computing power. With today's technology, data centers account for around 20% of the world's electricity usage and about 5% of our carbon emissions. How can we find new sustainable ways to approach this? And you'll see we have a project in WGTIK where we're actually testing putting data centers underwater, increasing cooling capacity and efficiencies as well. And we're not the only ones doing this. There's some joint efforts happening here, but there's some I think some real advancements coming. But let's maybe jump to storage. We talk about the explosion of data, and again, I like to look back to look forward. Can anybody tell me what this is in the top left-hand corner? Anyone want to have a guess? Hard disk. Any idea how big it was? Yeah, and probably stored about 4 meg. This is portable storage back in the 50s. Now we've moved to floppy disk. We've moved to USB drives. Let's talk about organic storage coming. But one I want to deep dive in is around Project Silicon. Really, storage is ones and zeros. This took us a long way. It's not aligned with the analog nature of the world around us, and it creates bottlenecks. So we've been looking at new computing paradigms. Quantum will redefine this. Quantum computing will define the computing power we have available. But there's other data center technologies we're looking at as well, and this is Project Silica. I'm going to give you a quote here. I think we're generating 2.5 quintillion bytes of data every day, and that rate is accelerating. I know that statistic's actually old. The demand for long-term storage is increasing, and the long-term being the key there. By this year, it was expected we'd have 100 zettabytes of data would be stored in the cloud combined. So we're looking at new technologies to store this. And Project Silica is one of those. It's a storage technology designed from the bottom up for the cloud. We're leveraging discoveries in ultra-fast lasers to store data on quartz glass using femtosecond lasers and building completely new storage systems from the ground up to support this growth in data in the cloud. It creates a hugely exciting opportunity for us. But ultimately, we've got the entire Windows operating system sitting on a piece of glass about this size. More sustainable, more durable, and going to help us meet some of these storage needs. And the other one I said I'd talk about is computing power. Does anybody recognize the movie in the top left, on the left-hand side? You've seen it? It's that movie came out over 20 years ago now. And at the same time, a teraflop of computing power was about 70 billion US dollars. That computing facility would have been the size of this room, probably only accessed by the military and maybe the weather in a few countries, weather organizations in a few countries. Let's fast forward to, even this is out of date now. My children have teraflops of power that sit in the living room and they play games on it. the advancements we've made around the computing space are unbelievable. But most of you will be familiar with Moore's law. We're seeing this running out of steam. And I'm going to play a short video here just to sort of, again, look back to look forward, and then let's really look forward as well. So I'll come off mute here and play the video. Yeah, that one is a couple of years old. We have now, I believe, reached the point where there is quantum capabilities available. Very, very limited sets, but the advancements here are quite real. And I think we're going to see this paradigm shift in computing accelerate the adoption of AI, but also the use of technology everywhere. So we have a team working on this. Likewise, other technology organizations do as well, and we're collaborating. It's one of I think, the more exciting opportunities moving forward. But also for ourselves here, there are emulators available now for those that want to be developing based on quantum technology when it becomes available. It's a different language, it's a different way of operating, but there are quantum type emulators available as well. And I'll move through this last one quite quickly, but really also looking at how we can use optical networking in a way that's never been used before in the data center to shift data around far quicker than ever before. And there's always been the holy grail of optical networking, which has long been impractical, but now becoming a possibility. We're getting far closer. And we're doing that to give you an insight, and I'm not going to pretend to be an expert here, but using prisms to shift light and colors of light around and use that instead of ones and zeros in a traditional way of transmitting. So again, there's work happening here to really help us make advancements in that last area around networking and moving data around to help us. And so we'll change gears a little bit here to the kind of human-computer interaction. With AI and new ways of computing, there's an opportunity for us to rethink how we interact with technology. The machines will learn how to communicate with us instead of us needing to learn how to communicate with machines. And this provides enormous advancements in that reducing the digital divide and providing people with all different types of abilities to access and use technology as well. So this will become more natural, and the interfaces will be far more contextual as well. It'll bring technology to more people and help us do more with it instead of distracting us. But as natural user interfaces will now, we already do it. We're using our voice more, we're using our gestures more. This is going to happen more and more. But also the interactions will be built context-driven. And you've probably seen, even with the advancements of some of these AI tools or ChatGPT-like tools, there's some that are really just taking the new technology and replacing a traditional search engine with a different type of search. But others like the Bing chat you potentially use are really providing contextually driven interactions. The technology is able to understand more about me if I let it, and it can work with me in a more contextual way. Then using that to use things like augmented reality and virtual reality, so that the technology is interacting with our environment, with us as well. Again, as we make more innovations are happening in the compute, the reduction in size, the reduction in bandwidth, the reduction in power, we're able to scale these and make them far more accessible as well. And the last one, that I think these are all opportunities for us to augment human connections. Currently, technology is distracting us from things that we care about. The future of human and machine interaction should free us from being stuck heads down in our screens. It'll help us become more engaged with the world around us. And lastly, I just want to touch on digital responsibility. I think this is an entire topic on its own, or multiple topics. But as these capabilities and the impact of technologies evolve, it is imperative that we guide this evolution responsibly. I don't think anyone has all the answers yet, and I don't think we even know all of the questions. But this will require shared ethical principles, as well as new best practices and technology breakthroughs to prevent the potentially negative consequences. So again, it's something I don't want to do a disservice to, but it's very top of mind for us and most technology companies and leaders around the world. So I am going to change gears here and move away from the technology side of things, and let's have a look at the workforce of the future and the way the workforce has changed. And I am going to throw a lot of numbers at you here, but bear with me, that's for a reason. I think it will start to give context as to the way the workforce is changing, the workforce you're going into and what you can expect, and how the technology in general is being applied. But I'll come back to the AI piece and why this is important. We look at the adoption rates at the moment. Mobile phones took us 16 years to reach 100 million users. We've got the internet, our friend Facebook, ChatGPT, 0 to hero in 3 months, 100 million users in 3 months. Heroes may be the wrong word, but we're seeing the adoption, the use, and the mainstreaming of that faster than any technology ever before. And we will see this more and more. The GitHub repo times are just, similarly. I think if you look back for GitHub repos to get to 10,000 stars, Apache was around 6.5 years. GPT-4 was 1.5 days. Okay, so the usage and the adoption is just unbelievable at all levels. And this has impact on the economy. This is a monumental shift. History has taught us that technology drives GDP growth, and the pace of that change is accelerating. Technology spend has grown faster than GDP in the last decade. Historically, technology is a GDP multiplier. From 4 times the multiplier in the 1800s to 20 times over the last century. AI will be the next leg and leap in this growth of GDP driven by technology as well. At the same time, we're seeing shifts in the workforce, and I won't drain this, it's where we work. I think everyone says, where are you based, Rob? And I'm based in Singapore, but Vietnam as well, and Australia, or wherever I am on a day. So work is happening where you are. It's when you want it potentially as well. And the how it's done is very, very different. I think it's going to be more different moving forward. And that's where we step back and we use this work trend index. It's data that helps us understand where the workforce is going. It helps us inform our product technology roadmaps, and it helps us understand how our technology is being used. We look at productivity signals from the Microsoft graph and the technology we use, and we also look at the global labour market trends from the LinkedIn economic graph as well. So I'm going to throw some numbers at you now, but globally, half the workforce is back in the office. The shift to flexible working is still playing out. I think we've got some changes to come as we move forward. But globally, about half of the employees have returned to the office. And you'll see here in the US, this is far lower than others, and Japan represents the higher end of the spectrum as well. And part of the question is, why do people come to the office? People are coming to see each other. In-person time is important, and leaders are looking to understand what motivates people to go into the office. And connecting with colleagues was a key motivator for working in person. 84% of employees will be motivated by the promise of socialising with co-workers. 85% are motivated by the chance to rebuild teams post-pandemic. It also tells us that early in career employees, looking at a lot of people in this room are more likely to want to be coming back to the office than those middle-aged or the boomers, which I thought was a really interesting stat. I don't think we quite know why that is yet, but it was a very interesting statistic as well. So this is a challenge that leaders are going to have. But digital debt is really costing us innovation as well. The pace and the volume of work now is unlike anything we've ever experienced in the past. We're spending too much time searching for information, navigating inefficient meetings, looking for information, leaving us less time to do what people are paid to do: deep thinking, critical thinking, analysis, and collaborating. The volume of data, emails, and chats has outpaced our ability to process it at all, and this is what we're calling digital debt. Every minute spent managing the digital debt is a minute spent not being creative, not being productive, and not producing output. It's more than an inconvenience now, it's really impacting business. Nearly 2/3 of people say they don't have enough time or energy to do their job. And those same employees are 3.5 times more likely to struggle with innovation and strategic thinking. And this is where we think AI can play a role, and it may even be a boring one. As I mentioned before, one of the predominant narratives around AI is the notion employees are fearful it may ultimately put them out of a job. But nearly 50% of employees say, 50% say they're worried about this, but 70% would delegate as much work as possible to AIs. To AI. Employees know what is in it for them. The promise of relief that outweighs the threat. The potential good outweighing the potential negative impact. So what employees want from AI is really helping me find information, helping me summarize meetings. I don't know about you guys, but we do a lot of meetings at Microsoft, a lot of meetings. And there's no point in having a meeting if you don't have it summarized, you don't have actions, you don't have follow-up. Those inefficient meetings we spoke about. But I can tell you right now, I do not want to sit down and summarize a meeting and send out action items. Today, I can sit on a Teams call and a Copilot will do that for me now. Our employees want admin tasks and analytical work to also be taken care of by AI. But interestingly, the opportunity around some of the creative work is an area where most employees surveyed see the possibility to use AI as well. And what do leaders want? This is one place where employees and business leaders agree. The data shows that managers are 2 times more likely to say they're looking to empower people with AI rather than replace people. Reducing headcount was the lowest priority on the list for the adoption of AI for most of the people we surveyed. Their top hopes are around increasing productivity, automating tasks, increasing employee well-being, and giving employees time to focus on their real and impactful work, which I thought was very, very interesting. And when we look at this, what are the skills that we think are needed in this space? We were talking earlier around, we've always talked about graduates coming out with the 5 C's: communication, collaboration, critical thinking, etc. But there are other skills that are going to be needed in the AI era that will be more important. To use analytical judgment over the top of summarization and analysis that technologies potentially perform for us. Applying emotional intelligence, curiosity, detecting bias. And the last one, leading into a new job role of prompt engineer. Ultimately, are employees able to use the technology that we're providing to them as well? So again, some interesting statistics here to take a look at. So ultimately, summarizing some of this, we're seeing employees and employers are ready to embrace AI. Most people are saying they don't have time. They're spending too much time doing work that is not meaningful, fulfilling, or efficient. We're willing to delegate, and leaders say there's a lack of innovation. And this is where we think transformation driven by AI could help a little bit. Now, I am going to jump in here. I am going to talk about some products. And I'm doing that to give context and bring some of this to life. It's not to suggest you go and buy anything right now. But I just wanted to put that out there. When we look at AI transformation in the workforce, there's two main areas, and we'll spend most of our time on the first one. How do we address some of the challenges we just heard about by using what we're calling co-pilots? And you saw a number of those announcements earlier that the co-pilots in the Microsoft platform and the cloud are coming to life today, and I'll talk about some of those specifically and how they're being used. But there's other organizations that are building similar type technology. Tools that we can collaborate with to drive innovation and make our lives easier and solve some of the challenges we've seen. At the same time, transformational experiences are being delivered by many organizations by building your own intelligent applications. So most banks around the world at the moment, most Fortune 500 organizations are taking the same underlying AI infrastructure and building intelligent applications and experiences for their own staff and their customers. To think of it simply, there's a SaaS approach and there's a build your own approach that people are taking as well. And lastly, they're looking to safeguard their business and data with a trusted platform. And I won't spend too much time on it here, but how co-pilots can be used to augment security personnel, to understand signals happening, to provide data security or security across the entire infrastructure estate for an organization as well. So let's get in and have a look, and I'll show you some of these tools a little bit as well. But we kind of mentioned there's 4 types of employees. We'll focus on everyone, how AI can be used for everyone. And then given the group we've got here, let's dive a little bit into the developer and data professional as well. And I'll use videos to demonstrate a lot of this. I don't want to tell you about it. Let's actually have a look. So we'll start with the employee. I'm just going to play a quick video if we can jump on mute, and I'll jump off mute. So empowering laziness, I really do enjoy some of those examples there. And I do chuckle every time we see innovations coming through that MS Paint is used as an example. So that's just to share, everything there is available right now. It's part of Copilot for Windows 11. I do notice that the Macs always seem to make it into the front row in these sessions, but this technology is also available in the browser and other areas as well. But the Copilots are being built into every experience, and the opportunity for it to do things for every employee, both personal and in the workforce. I said you saw summarizing of web pages and meetings are possible today. Doing creative work in Paint. We can interface. You saw the way that the technology was being interfaced with was far different to in the past. Data planning, but also just administration of a device. Security and services. So Again, I just wanted to share that, a bit of a fun one, a generally available Copilot now that we're seeing adopted heavily, builds off technology around the generative AI technology like ChatGPT and Llama and all those other large language models that are available as well. So our job is to really take these technologies and capabilities and then turn them into something that can be used and experiences that can be used in the same way you've been maybe building your own experiences as well. But I'll jump now to the other end of the spectrum, the data professional or the developer. And I'll talk to a couple of examples here where it can help improve collaboration, help work on projects, help AI extract insights from your data, help your teams develop new predictive models and the likes as well. So we'll talk through a couple of products here and a couple more videos to try and bring this to life. Because ultimately, this is what we're seeing developers wanting from AI, guidance and suggestions. Just a quick hands up, who here who develops or cuts code? Couple of hands. Is anyone who's written code here at all? Code, yeah, writing code, I think code. I suspect there's a few more of you as well. Who likes documentation? Yeah. Who likes debugging? Problem solving? Actually got a half hand. I've never seen that before, but interesting. So how can we use these copilots to help us there? Generating tests, other mundane tasks. Let's have a look. So Power Platform is one of our low-code, no-code platforms from Microsoft, a lot of automation, Power Automate. There's a Copilot developed for the Power Platform now, which allows you to not only be no-code, but a natural interface to be driving and building these applications. Get cross-platform integration to really simplify design and lower the barriers to getting in and launching solutions. And you'll see here, the video here has no sound, but I'll just play it for you. Yeah, it's probably too small to see, but ultimately you're seeing someone building Power Automate flows, automation tasks by natural language. Okay, when I receive an email from this person, trigger this workflow, or if I see this hash on this Twitter account or X account, trigger this workflow or create this article, all natural language queries that are making the drag and drop non-technical interface even easier. Which under Power BI, our platform around business intelligence. And the Copilot built in here, I think is rather amazing. I'll show you a better video of this as well. This lets you uncover the full potential of your data using the AI tools. You can describe the insights you need or ask a question about the data you're seeing, and Copilot will go and analyze it for you and pull the right data into a report, easily turning data into actionable insights. I'll jump in here. I don't know if this video has sound, but I'll unmute and play it for you. I want to walk through the spectrum of what just happened. Okay, this business intelligence report in Power BI was built by somebody asking a question and identifying 3 or 4 things they wanted to understand. The ease of them of applying creativity and creating dashboards and allowing the drill down and exploration of data was there. But then Copilot did the summary and provided the insights as well. I tell you right now in the workforce, people are regularly asked for not the data, but for the insight. And now we can help use the tools and technology to get access to the insights far quicker as well. So I wanted to show that again, this is a business professional, possibly a sales manager or a services manager in this instance, going and querying data that possibly has no understanding of SQL data platforms, of extractions of queries, or how to build BI reports. And they're able to get actionable insights across their organization. I'll skip this next one and jump, in the interest of time, jump lastly to GitHub. I mean, who here is familiar with GitHub? Well, no, it's okay. I'm a little bit relieved on that one, to be honest. But Copilot for GitHub is something I want to share with you as well. Around 40 to 50% of code being developed right now is being written by AI. 50 to 60% of developer productivity is increased by the use of AI and Copilots to do this. But I think more importantly, the last statistic that's behind me is 3 in every 4 developers feels more focused on satisfying work by using the technology. I think these are amazing statistics. And we have GitHub Copilot X, which is Copilot Chat, Copilot for pull requests, and automatic test generation as well. But again, I don't want to drain the slide. I'm going to play a video for you just to walk through very quickly what this can look like from an experience as well. So I'd like to share that again. I'm not suggesting that Copilot for GitHub is going to allow everybody to be a developer. You still have to understand how to use this tool and how to drive it. But it can fundamentally change the way that you're performing your day job building code and making that more rewarding as well. So I think the potential of AI is clear. It is potential. It's up to us to realise that, and it really is a question of what would you build with it. And I think we have the easy job to a degree as a platform organisation where we build these tools and services to life, where we're looking into the future and people bright like yourselves to identify the experiences you can create, the problems you can solve, and use this technology, which I think is quite exciting. And ultimately, I think it's clear that AI will invent every industry. You saw the clip at the beginning around healthcare, around climate change, around Formula One racing. But we're going to see more personal healthcare accelerated here with the use of artificial intelligence, safety in finance and the likes, sustainability driven in retail, but I think many other industries, and the efficiency of manufacturing quite a lot. So I look around the room and to those online, I think you have the chance to really lead in the AI transformation. You're going to grow up as AI natives, giving you potentially a head start as well. So be quite intrigued to see what is built and what is happening in the future. So with that, I'm going to say thank you. Kind of ends the period of just me talking. I think we've got some time for some questions and some further discussion as well, which I'd love to hear your thoughts and feedback. I'm happy to try and answer any questions. And I will just, some of the projects and research projects I was speaking about earlier, you can find more about them on microsoft.com/innovation. We are making an effort to make more of this understandable, more of this visible to people and see what's happening and coming out of Microsoft research as well. So I will stop there and invite you and sort of take it where you guys would like to take the rest of the session.
And thank you very much for the talk, Mr. Rob. From the talk, we have learned about how AI change world and in many aspects of our life. And now we are going to have a discussion session for about 15 minutes. If you have any question, please raise your hand. Yeah.
I'm worried how quickly that hand went up.
Hi, good day, Robert. Yeah, I have two questions. The first question is how to prepare the student for in the era of AI. And the second is how the academic can best use the AI for academic. Thank you.
I think great questions. You've probably just given two topics for two more, at least hour-long conversations as well. Being quite honest, and I nearly bought. I have an entire deck right now on how the tools available right now can be used by an academic. So Arif, I'll share them with you to share out. I actually avoided this intentionally in this session. We do see a lot of content creation, assessment creation, work being done by academics nowadays. Taking text and literally using Copilot to ask for a formative assessment, multiple choice of X amount of questions to be built based off this content. So some of those really mundane tasks are being accelerated very, very quickly. But we are seeing AI, let's talk about built into Office right now, reading progress. So students can be assigned a passage of literature. The students going away and read and use the reading progress application within Teams, which is AI powered. And when you've got a class of 30 or 100 students, reading progress summarizes where every student is struggling. Are there certain words they're struggling on? What is their progress in reading? At what grade level? And then provides insights to an educator to tailor and personalize education to a level that could never be done before. PowerPoint presentation coach. I can go and record myself giving this presentation in PowerPoint. The coach will tell me, what are my filler words? Do I say etc.? What's my tone like? A favorite of Arif's here. Am I speaking too fast? Am I speaking too slowly? So the coach can start to give you some of those insights. So those tools are there immediately. One of my favorite examples is and I think really falls into the domains we have here. The University of New South Wales was building AI tutor bots some 5 years ago. So a lecturer delivers a lecture in Teams, completely hybrid class, and then the AI bot is there for questions and answers. The AI-driven bot has the knowledge base of all of the courseware that's being used. So we can provide students with answers and augment and scale tutors. Likewise, it was being used to assess students' grades and progress throughout the year. And at the end of the year, provide a personalised study pack summary for those students to go and prepare for final exams. So that was pre-generative AI. So Dr. David Kellerman from the University of New South Wales does a lot of work in this space. I encourage you to have a look at some of the research he's published as well. But he's going very, very deep into how technology can be used. And he came from the data team within the University of New South Wales, and his major was mechanical engineering, but it was one of the foundational subjects for engineering at the University of New South Wales that he did that for. It's a small world, isn't it? A couple of hours from my home. So the school the work Dr. Kellerman is doing is amazing. So for me is the educator piece, the student piece. I genuinely think, and this is like the old calculator conversation. When the calculator was invented, it was the scare was, well, maths is dead. You don't need to learn maths anymore. You clearly need to understand concepts of mathematics, and you need to be able to drive this amazing piece of technology that was a calculator. Likewise here. I could see students getting themselves into trouble using AI in an irresponsible way. So how is the university, how is the system, the education system in the country looking to adopt and use AI? And we're seeing some great examples in some countries. We're seeing some laggards in others. Thankfully, we're seeing less and less banning AI. So I think adoption and use is going to be key for students, getting everybody familiar with using the technology, but then building around that the responsible way of using it. How do you cite? How do you understand the quality of the answers and the responses? It's very easy just to generate a response and submit an essay potentially with ChatGPT, but that's brought with a lot of risks as well. So I think that adoption is going to be the big use, and mainstreaming the use of it as well. The same way we saw collaboration as an example. That was the reason we all have group work, right? The workforce is group work. Nobody likes a group project, and I watch my daughter going through this. She hates group work because she's neurodiverse, but she's learning and building the tools to collaborate, and then technology enabled that. So we embed technology in the way collaboration is done. Students and graduates are graduating with a better ability to thrive in the workforce. I think most AI technologies will be the same as well. And the last piece is encourage people to fail. Get in sandboxes, build things, break things, get them wrong. I've gotten many false attempts on trying to build demos around AI. Things I think were simple: get in, try it, fail, learn, and then very quickly we pick it up. So I do hope that answers your two questions, but I will provide some of the content. Maybe we do another session on specifically how AI tools are being used for educators. Just a couple of our workshop that we do sometimes around that as well.
Thank you. Any other question?
Good day, hello, sir. I have a question about AI, especially like GPT models and large language model. So when I try to use something like Bing or Copilot in Microsoft, most of it is when answering, there's somewhat hallucinate. And I already read like some paper about GPT models, and the only problem is it tends to hallucinate. So my point is, how can we make a large language model less hallucinate, especially like GPT or something? Thank you.
I love the question, and I'm not going to profess to be able to answer this. We actually have a training module on using ChatGPT for educators, and the hallucination of models is one of the areas. Unfortunately, I did the summary and didn't actually read. So I can't directly answer your question, but there is work being done on that, and some of you'll see the GPT 3.5 moving to 4, moving to 4 fast. Some of that is being dealt with to a degree. And it's one of the reasons we look at the responsible use of these technologies by students, because it's not perfect. So that's a big one for us. Improving the prompting. I think we're going to continue to advance at an exponential rate. And lastly, we do see that's where some of the services we provide as a Copilot are a very specific service. They're very boundary. You saw Copilot for GitHub being asked, what do I want for dinner? And it says, I don't know that. And that's helping provide a better experience because we refine what it's looking to achieve and what it's looking to do. And lastly, we're seeing in the enterprise some of those, the Bing chat, being moved into Bing chat for enterprise, being then given access to internal proprietary information, not training the models back, but is allowing for tuning of the models for the context in which they'll be used, maybe unique in the organisation. We're also allowing it to reason over organisation-specific data as well. So again, improving the quality of the output. But a very genuine question. I'm not going to sit here and say it will be flawless. I don't think we'll ever get the flawless. But that's why we often use human parity as a measure of test, because we're not flawless either. And that's where if we want AI to be perfect, I don't know that we'll ever get there. If we want AI to do things better than we can, I think we'll be in a better spot. But Arif, did you want to jump into this one as well?
Terima kasih. Saya jawab bahasa Indonesia ya. Pertanyaannya sebenarnya luar biasa. Bagaimana cara mengatasi halusinasi? Jadi di OpenAI itu sendiri kita memiliki sebuah metode yang namanya adalah embeddings. Mungkin kalau teman-teman di sini sudah belajar tentang generative AI, gitu ya, ada satu teknik namanya embeddings. Embeddings ini adalah bagaimana kita bisa mengekstrak sebuah informasi menjadi sebuah vektor. Ya, apakah itu nanti storage di dalam sebuah vektor database, yang lain. Gitu ya. Intinya adalah bagaimana kita membuat itu menjadi sebuah vektor. Informasi yang sama, vektornya akan mirip. Kalau informasinya jauhnya berbeda, gitu ya, relasinya beda, vektornya akan berbeda. Nah, semakin banyak kita melakukan embeddings dengan data-data yang kita punya, maka halusinasi itu akan semakin berkurang. Tapi selain yang disampaikan oleh Tom tadi ya, dari sisi prompting engineering, gitu ya, kemudian tadi ada perbaikan atau penambahan data-data dan lain-lain, proses embedding itu sangat penting dan itu sangat bisa mengurangi halusinasi. Dan itulah makanya kenapa di Microsoft kita OpenAI ini tidak disampaikan secara menyeluruh itu kepada kepada AI, tapi kita ingin bahwa user itu part of the AI. You are the pilot, and our system is the co-pilot. Gitu ya.
Okay, thank you. And next question.
Thank you, Robert, for your inspiring talk. So AI is very famous right now because LLM, right, large language model, and LLM is very great at understanding, also generating images, words, and so on. But how about reasoning? Does Microsoft has created something that really can do reasoning?
That's a good question. What do you mean by reasoning, if I may ask? Can you give me an example? Sort of content, contextual understanding and connecting the dots?
Yeah, like contextual understanding, or maybe the icons under they can.
Yes, I think. Again, I'm going to use some pre-generative AI views of the world. I mean, the ability to reason over data, and there was a demo I used to do years ago. It was around the John F. Kennedy assassination, if you'd all be the US president assassination, where we took some of the AI cognition tools and comprehension tools, overlaid that, combined that with the ability to take written text, so we took all the files from the JFK case. We then digitized all of those, and we were able to use some of the cognitive services to handwriting recognition to build a model. And then we're able to use some of the cognitive search and reasoning capabilities over the top to start to connect the dots. So you could start to reason over that and then ask questions over the data as well. So a lot of that is built into the models that are there at the moment. And you'll see the analysis over the data was some of that as well. So it's not perfect, and some of it is still requiring training. But there are models that are leading to that. And I can't remember which of the models. Rick might remember. There's one of the models specifically that leads to that more reasoning over the top of the data rather than just the ChatGPT style or the image creator and the like as well. We'll try and come back to you, go some details on that, but there are models around, and that's the key. These large language models, there's more than just one, and they are being combined and used to be able to provide more insights as well. I know that doesn't specifically answer your question, but yes, there is work being done there, and some of it is legacy from machine learning, and some of it is now more around generative AI uses as well.
Okay, thank you. And the last question? Actually, I have a question. So previously you showed us a video of how quantum computing can help us to compute faster. But many years ago, what I knew is it was not practical yet. So how is it now? Has it changed?
And you're exactly right. It's something that's been envisioned for many years. I believe IBM and us have both made breakthroughs in actual building quantum capacity. And I think I don't want to get this wrong, but I think I understand there are Azure quantum capabilities that are there now, and IBM has a physical device as well, if I understand it, that is created. So yes, there is definitely capabilities that are there now. It's not mainstream, it's not large scale, but some of the breakthroughs being required to get us to that point have been made. And the Azure quantum was probably 18 months ago now. I think we made that announcement as well. Not as much recently, it's all kind of shifted towards AI. But yeah, definitely some breakthroughs have been made in that space as well. To your point, it was we were breaking the laws of physics because we knew them. Now we're making advancements there, and then trying to make that mainstream and maintainable is huge as well. But I think we have a few gifts as well for the individuals that ask questions. Yes, so make sure for those of you who are asking questions, thank you so much. Please come and grab them on your way out as well.